Dear participants, as already mentioned, we are starting our workshop with a promotional video. Please enjoy the video.
Since 2001, we have always embarked on new challenges. We have endlessly pushed forward in order to give joy and hope to the youth. After 17 years, IYF has currently established 184 branches worldwide and is raising many youth to become leaders of the future. Now we are reaping the positive results of our challenges. We changed one individual's life. Hanso Lee, in his adolescence, resented his parents for not being able to live the life he wanted, and the world labeled him as rebellious and problematic. His life, which was mired in friends, cigarettes, and games, was changed through the World Camp. During the 2-week period, he learned how to communicate with people. He is currently working as the IYF branch manager of Haiti, healing the minds of the Haitians living in despair and giving hope and courage to Haiti youth who are wandering without dreams like himself in the past. The World Camp is held in Korea and in countries across the globe every year, and has now grown to become the largest hub for youth interaction in the world. Through special programs such as the Mind Lecture, which teaches the world of the heart, various cultural performances, and academies that cover diverse fields, we are bringing about true change in the lives of the youth. The World Cultural Camp that is held annually in Korea has shown its global approach by involving nearly 3,000 students from over 50 countries. While overseas world camps that are held annually in nearly 30 countries worldwide have received support from the respective government for IYF youth education programs. We changed one country's future. How can global youth problems be resolved? We invited ministers of youth from all over the world and promised to put our heads together to discuss and aim towards the same goal. Since returning to their countries, for the past 1 year, the ministers have worked to help the youth of their country. After a year, they gathered again in Korea and discussed again. This was the first World Ministers of Youth Forum, organized by a non-governmental organization. A global network to address youth problems has been established. Furthermore, ministers who attended the forum identified the IYF World Cultural Camp as a method to address youth problems in their countries, and expressed their approval and support. In addition, by introducing the IYF to their own government, they helped us to meet their presidents and prime ministers. Thus, this became an immense platform for IYF to help the youth all across the world. IYF is ushering in a new future, whereby the youth of the world challenge to transcend their boundaries and limitations, change their lives from the heart, and obtain a cooperative mindset that goes beyond race and nationality. IYF teaches true sharing and volunteering, which focus on putting others before oneself. Now, together with you, we want to become the stepping stone that the youth can trust and help them to go beyond Korea and transcend the world. The youth who are with IYF shall be the shining stars of the world.
Hope participants, you enjoyed the video. If I can share a bit about the video, it was basically showing the activities of IYF. And IYF stands for International Youth Fellowship. That is why you've seen that most of the participants in the video have been youth. So IYF focuses mainly on the youth, and today in this workshop, they're taking a drastic change to also address the issues concerning the academia and non-academic staff at our university. And probably as IYF and as the School of Psychology, we take this opportunity to welcome you all to this workshop. And on behalf of the School of Psychology in particular, I would like to let you know that this workshop has been organized in collaboration with many entities. That is the School of Psychology, the Principal's Office, CUSE, that is College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and the Vice Chancellor's Office. I take this opportunity to thank all organizers, the support team that includes the VC's PR, the College of Humanities and Social Sciences PR, and the IYF team. Specifically, the School of Psychology has been collaborating with IYF since 2015. And that is the time we signed a memorandum of understanding. IYF also collaborates with the Ministry of Education. So we have activities intertwined between IYF, School of Psychology, and also the Ministry of Education. We have worked together on several projects within and outside Makerere University. For example, we have organized youth conferences within the university and outside the university, and some of the participants you've seen the video were for our youth conferences. Last year, we started piloting the Mind Education course to our second year Bachelor of Industrial and Organizational Psychology students. And this course is ongoing. We are planning to evaluate it soon and see its impact on our students. We have also worked together with IYF to reach out to the prisons. And our target is to reach as many people as possible with mind education, with the purpose of enhancing positive behavior. One would wonder, why psychology? What you need to know is that psychology, by definition, is the scientific study of mind and behavior. And by mind in psychology, we mean the mental processes that include problem solving, reasoning, and judgment. And our argument in psychology is that so long as your judgment is upright, your reasoning is clear, eventually your behavior will be positive. So Mind Education is a mental education program geared towards realizing our potential to overcome our challenges. This education is intended to strengthen our hearts and mind to overcome resistance to change. You know, human beings, we always don't want to change. But with Mind Education, there is a way it strengthens our resilience and acceptance to change of attitudes and also to overcoming our unpleasant desires. It enhances our critical thinking. self-discipline, and also benevolence. So therefore, changing our mindset is necessary if we want to be open to change, if we want to have a positive view of life, if we want to be optimistic, even amidst the hardest challenges, and if we want to adapt to changes as they happen. I know by the end of this workshop, each one of us would have a take-home lesson, one or two, that will change your view of life, that will change the view you see your profession, and that will change the view you behave with others, and also how you handle your activities at work. I welcome you all once again and thank you for your participation in this online workshop. With that being said, at this moment, I would like to take this opportunity to invite our beloved principal for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, Professor Josephine Ahikire. I've seen she's already logged on. She was behind the organization of this workshop, and I want her to share her remarks with you. Professor Josephine Ahikire, please share your remarks with the participants. Thank you so much. As we wait for Professor Josephine Ahikire to log, has disappeared. Let me use this opportunity to take our unofficial step and pray for the participants. I thank God for your lives. I thank you that you've been able to log on. I pray that God gives you the commitment to stay online up to until 10:40, when our Vice Chancellor will be giving his closing remarks. He has been with us and he has steered this workshop up to today. I trust that each one of you will wait up to the end and pray God's blessings upon your lives. With that being said, let me once again welcome Professor Josephine Ahikire. Is she on?
Host, please unmute. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Principal.
Oh. All right. Thank you very much, the Dean Psychology, Professor Grace Chibanja. I would like to welcome our partners from the International Youth Fellowship, and specifically our keynote speaker, Reverend Dr. Okso Park. I recognize that the Vice Chancellor, Makerere University, will be in later. All of you present virtually. We welcome our partners from IYF to Makerere University. we treasure this partnership. As the Dean mentioned, the mind is a central aspect of the human body, but not just the body in biological terms, but the body in the way that it exists as a social being. So in other words, the strengthening of the mind is one of the key areas that will see a generation that is able to be resilient, that is able to be on top of the game in terms of creating a society that can deal with its challenges. In the current situation, we see the kind of response to COVID-19. Some respond by complaining, respond by taking advantage of the opportunities that are being created, as well as taking the mantle in terms of addressing the obstacles that have been posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. And in our case, it's very important to generate that consensus around a generation that will not just complain about problems, but will seek to address those problems and seek to face them as human beings that are able to create or forge a way ahead. As the principal of the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, I'm very glad about this partnership, and especially the course that is being piloted on mind education, because I think it will go a long way, especially if we make it an audited course for all students of Makerere University. It will take us far in terms of creating that generation that will take the future in its hands and craft solutions for the future. And given that we are in situations as Africans, as people on the African continent, we face many challenges, but I think it has also shown us, especially with this pandemic, that we can actually solve our problems if we have the right mind. And that right mind must go right from the young people also into the I don't want to say old, but people who are above the young age, but who also need to actually encourage the young people to take care of their lives and be in charge of their lives. And with those few remarks, I would like to thank the International Youth Foundation for the fellowship, for this very, very important collaboration with the School of Psychology and Makerere University at large. We welcome you and we embrace the mind education as we build for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Josephine Ahikire. Members that have just joined, she is the Principal, College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and has been part of the organizing committee for this workshop. With online workshops, it's really very important that we keep time, so I'm not going to pick so many of her key points, but I will let you remember one. She has said that strengthening the mind will enable us to see a resilient future generation. And I'm sure most of you agree with me as I've seen some of the comments already privately coming in from you, appreciating the workshop and the program. Frank, Mwine, thank you, and the rest of the team that have said this workshop is timely. I now take this opportunity to invite Professor Yonam Kim to give us the background on this mind education and to let us know why it is necessary and why IYF took the courage to start this program. Professor Yohan Kim, please address the Makerere congregation.
Good morning, our professors. How are you? My name is Professor Yohan Kim. Currently, I am working as a chairman of East Africa of IYF, especially for the endeavor to bring the change of the mindset in the section of East Africa. And this morning, it is my great honor and pleasure and to meet with all of you and to be able to take you through a brief history and introduction on what mind education is all about. In order for me to explain on these, I think I would have to use a PowerPoint presentation, and so that it can help you with a little bit of a better understanding. I won't play the PowerPoint, and so that I can see the orders of the PowerPoint on my left-hand side. Yes, actually this mind education is the world of the heart, and we believe that everything starts from our mind and our heart. But our heart and the mind is an invisible world which is under the ground, and there is the visible world which is on the tree itself above the ground. And the tree that which we are able to see above the ground, we call it a life. And the roots under the ground, it is the invisible world. We call it the world of the heart and the world of the mind. In order for us to have the strong and healthy tree, we need to have the strong and healthy root. Although it may be invisible, it is something very important for the trees. And that's why we consider learning and teaching about the world of the heart and the world of the mindset, how to use these roots, how to tame and lead these roots so that it can stay healthy. We believe that that is something very important in order for us to have the healthy life as well. And so we will call it the mind, the invisible world, which is under the ground. Actually, it all started from South Korea. Actually, South Korea, we were never rich. We have been always the poor, one of the poorest countries around the whole world, and especially South Korea being the peninsula, we've been often attacked by the neighboring countries, especially during the World War II. We were colonized by Japan until 1945, and starting from 1950 to 1953, we even had our own civil war with North Korea and South Korea. And as you see from those pictures, everything was destroyed. Not only that, South Korea is such a small country, and people make fun of South Korea, saying, you throw South Korea into a Lake Victoria, it will be plunged into Lake Victoria. And that's how small South Korea is. And in that small land, 70% of the lands are covered by mountains. Imagine then we couldn't do any farming, we didn't have land for farming, and we couldn't have proper space to do anything. And so not only that, the being peninsula, to the left is a sea, to the right is a sea, to the bottom is a sea, and to the north, it was our enemy, North Korea. And so we were basically a locked down land which is locked down, and we couldn't easily also do the trading. When I see Uganda is truly a blessed country. Uganda has a very good fertile land, And also Uganda is also connected with Kenya, Tanzania, and many other surrounding countries, so that you can also have ease in trading with other countries, which is going to bring economical development as well. And so when I think about all those things, so truly I can see and that Uganda is a blessed country. But South Korea was not like that. Everything was impossible. Even trading was impossible. Even the land was not as fertile as Uganda. And not only that, we've been also surrounded by like neighboring countries, the enemy countries. We were always colonized and they always used to attack us. And not only that, the weather itself was also not so good. Now we have a 4 clear season, and during the winter, and the temperature will go down to -3, -5, even all the way down to -10 degrees Celsius. And many people used to starve to death and freeze to death as well. And on top of that, South Korea, we didn't have any underground natural resources. No iron, no nothing, no underground natural resources. And so for a long time in South Korea, we lived such a difficult life, and we always had stayed as a poor country. But there was a time and that has brought South Korea into a great development, and that was the change of the mindset. Because we have been living such a life in which we were so poor, and everybody had the hard just accepting and the circumstances and the situation that we were in. This is our fate. Being poor is our fate. And this is what God has given us. And they all accepted that in their heart as their fate. So nobody really wanted to develop themselves. However, there was a president, and the president, the 5th president of South Korea, called President Park, and he really wanted to bring and develop this nation. And so he really worked hard for it, and also he was able to bring the change of the mindset of the people of South Korea. So after he put this mind education curriculum into the curriculum and began to teach this mindset, and people, they began to bring the change of the mindset. When their mindset began to change, South Korea also began to change as well. Now this is the picture of South Korea of year 2019. I hope all of you can also once visit South Korea. Now South Korea is one of the top 10 economical countries around the world. South Korea is also well known for one of the fastest growing and developing country, and one of the OECD country as well. South Korea, we didn't have anything. As I have told you, we have no underground natural resources. Even the weather was not on our side. Even we did not have the fertile land. However, because we don't have those things, after bringing the change of the mindset, we have not believed and that we could not do it, and just because we don't have it. Also, when you look at the GDP per capita, in 1960s, our GDP per capita was only $90. Even our GDP per capita in 1960s, so we were below Kenya. However, in the year 2019, our GDP has risen to 31,000 US dollar. And that is 350 times increase in the GDP per capita. Not only that, as you all know, Samsung company, #1 electronic companies around the world, and also Hyundai company, #5 largest automobile producing company around the whole world. Not only that, we don't have any iron or steel under our ground producing company around the world. And though we don't have any steel or iron on the ground, but we have #1 largest shipbuilding yards. Especially Hyundai company, I visited their factory in the year 2019, and I visited their factory and they told me that every 42 seconds, one whole brand new car comes out from the factory. Not only that, though South Korea, because of the cold weather, we don't have any coffee. We don't have any coffee tree at all. but South Korea is the third largest coffee exporting countries around the world. Also, as I have mentioned to you, South Korea, we don't have any underground natural resources, and we don't have the crude oil, we don't have petroleum. But South Korea is #1 in exporting petroleum and products as well. If I can get a chance next time to go through these, how South Korea was able to become #3 largest coffee exporting country and #1 largest petroleum product exporting countries, I will also tell you in details about that next time. However, for today, it's just an introduction and our history of how mind education has come about and started. And so when people started to bring the change of the mindset, the way they think, the way they see, the way they believe in their heart began to change. And now South Korea became world's third largest coffee exporting country and #1 largest petroleum product exporting country as well. Everyone, it all depends on how we look at it. When you look at that picture right now in front of you, you can look at it as a duck. Everyone, do you see a duck over there? Yes. However, if you look at it from the other angle, you can also look at this picture as a rabbit. If you look at this part, this is the beak of the duck. However, if you look at this part, and this is the mouth and the nose of the rabbit, and this is the eye. And so depending on how you look at this picture, now the situation will all change and will be different. Depending on how you look at it, depending on with what kind of mindset are you going to look at it, the situation is going to change completely as well. In the mind education, we have a principle called Koi's law. Koi is a fish that comes from Japan, as you look at the picture on the presentation. Everyone, this fish is a very small fish. It's only growing up to 5 to 8 centimeter. However, depending on where you keep this fish, the life of this fish is going to be changed. Now, this fish, strange thing about this fish is if you keep this fish in the pond, it is going to grow from 15 to 25 centimeter. However, if you put this fish in a river, it is going to grow up to 125 centimeter, 1.2 meter. Now, depending on where you keep this fish, are you going to keep this fish in a fish bowl? Or are you going to keep this fish in the pond? Are you going to keep this fish in the river? Depending on where you keep this fish, the life of this fish is going to be different. This is called the Koi's law in our mind education curriculum, the principle of Koi's law. So everyone, in the same way, depending on where we keep our mindset, the way we think, the way we believe in our heart, the way we see it, where are we going to keep our minds? We believe that these youngsters, the youth, they really need this mindset. Depending on where they keep their mindset, their life is going to differ. When South Korea did not know about the world of the heart and the world of the mindset, we only believe that, this is our fate, this is our life. Our country, South Korea, cannot develop at all. But starting from the time that South Korea began to change the mindset, began to understand about the world of the heart, how this world of the heart function and how you can well use the world of the heart. From then on, now South Korea as a whole country began to change. It's not about what you see. It all depends on how you see it. It's not about what you see. It's about how you see the situation. And so through this mind education, once the young people and the youth, they have a strong mindset and also the positive mindset. Now, the way they look at the same picture is going to differ. The way they look at the country is also going to differ. The way they look at their life is also going to differ as well. So that's why we believe and that school education, gaining the knowledge and gaining the wisdom is also very important. However, training them how to tame and use their mind and use their heart is also very important as well. We believe that through this mind education curriculum, we'll make sure that we move the mindset of the young people in Uganda from the fishbowl to the pond, from the pond to the river as well. And I have no doubt and that our university students in Uganda, and they will be the great leaders of Uganda, but not only Uganda, but also the great leaders of the whole world, the international community as well. And so this was my great honor to meet with all of you, our professors from Uganda, and it was my great honor to give you a brief history and introduction on the mind education. And thank you very much and hope to see you again.
Wow. Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much, Professor Kim Johan. And I'm sure, colleagues, you've been challenged by his presentation. Remember what he told us. As a country, South Korea did not have anything. They did not have natural resources. They did not have agriculture. They did not have coffee, but they believed in themselves through the change of mind. And his last message was, it's not about what you see, it's about how you see it. And I think this is the kind of information we need to hear now. As a university, as we go through the new normal, most of us have challenges, especially with our teaching, especially with the research and so many other activities. But before we complain, what do we see? Do we see problems throughout, or we see these challenges as opportunities for new breakthrough? I'll not say much because this is an online workshop, but I take this opportunity to invite the gracious choir to share with us their performance in just 5 minutes before our keynote speaker, Reverend Dr. Oksu Park, comes online. Thank you, members.
양숨을 늘하지 굴리지 그래
Welcome back, members from the entertainment. This is to let you know that that choir was founded by Reverend Dr. Oksu Park. The person that is going to speak to us shortly in a few seconds. It was indeed lovely to see Korea sing Uganda like one person commented. It now gives you a background on who is coming next. The founder of International Youth Fellowship, the person that is behind the choir that has just entertained you, our keynote speaker for the day, and he is going to give us a special lecture specifically on your mindset. Reverend Dr. Oksu Park, you are welcome to deliver your keynote address. Thank you.
여러분 안녕하십니까?
Hello everyone.
우리가 사람의 얼굴도 예뻐야 하고 몸도 건강해야 하지만
It's important to make our faces pretty and also have healthy bodies,
그러나 이제 마음을 쓰는 것이 아주 중요합니다.
but it's very important for us to be able to use our hearts.
마음을 잘 관리하고 잘 쓴 사람하고 그렇지 않는 사람은 삶이 완전히 다릅니다.
People who are able to manage and take care of their hearts versus who do not, their lives are completely different.
근데 대부분 사람들은 마음의 세계를 잘 모르기 때문에
However, most people do not know about the world of the heart very
마음이
well,
이렇게 눈에 보이지도 않고 만져지지도 않잖아요.
and the heart is unseen to the eyes and you cannot touch it with your hands.
별로 생각 없이 마음에 일어난 생각을 따라서 행동할 때가 굉장히 많습니다.
So oftentimes people just act thoughtlessly with their actions having nothing to do with the heart.
그러나 똑같은 일을 미리 생각하고 또 생각해보고 일하는 것하고 그냥 굉장한 차이가 있죠.
However, even though you're doing the same thing, when you do it with deep thinking and planning ahead versus with no thinking is completely different.
우리가 좀 더 복되고 좋은 삶을 살려면 마음을 좀 사용하는 법을 배워야 하고 사고하는 법을 배워야 합니다.
For us to learn how to live more blessedly and more blissfully, we need to learn how to use our hearts and how to think deeply.
무슨 일을 하든지 간에 마음의 생각이 먼저 앞서 있는 것하고 생각 없이 일을 시작하면 천지 차이가 납니다.
And no matter what you do, thinking deeply ahead versus with no thinking at all is completely different.
요즘은 변화가 너무 빠르고 많은 기계가 발달돼서
Nowadays, changes come about so quickly and so much technology is advanced.
삶이 굉장히 분주해지고 바빠졌기 때문에
And so life has become very busy and very occupied.
어떤 일든지 한가하게 뭘 일할 만한 그 일을 갖기는 굉장히 어렵습니다.
So it's very difficult to relax and just focus on one thing.
이때 이제 가장 어려움을 겪는 게 마음인데
And in such a time, it is your heart which will struggle the most.
마음이 깊은 어떤 사실 깊이 생각하지 않고 일을 결정할 때가 굉장히 많이 있죠.
And oftentimes people have to decide on things very quickly without thinking deeply in their hearts.
저는 제가 19살 때까지 그냥 내 생각이 나온 대로 살았습니다.
And until the age of 19, I just lived however my thoughts led me.
19살 때 굉장히 어려운 일을 많이 겪었고 실망도 많이 했습니다.
And at the age of 19, I went through a lot of difficulties and I was very disappointed.
그래서 내가 생각을 하게 되고 내 생각 이런 생각 따라가면 내가 망한다는 걸 정확하게 알 수가
And
있었어요.
it brought me to think, and it allowed me to deeply realize that if I follow my own thoughts, it will ruin me.
제가 이제 이야기하려고 하는 어떤 젊은 여자의 이야기인데요.
There's a story of a young lady I want to tell you.
이건 실제로 있었던 이야기입니다.
This is a true story.
한 동네에 아주 가정도 좋고 얼굴도 예쁘고 착한 아가씨가 있었습니다.
In a village, there was a young lady from a very nice family, and she was very kind and warm-hearted, also had a pretty face.
평범한 가정에서 자랐고
She grew up in an ordinary family.
부유해서 뭐 좋은 학교도 나오고
Her family was well off, so she graduated in a fine
미모도
university,
상당히 아름다운 편이고
and she was very beautiful to look at.
어느 면으로 봐도 별 결함이 없는 아주 고운 저 아가씨였습니다.
In every way, this woman was very fine. She was not a flawed person at all.
이 여자 어느 날 동네 앞을 지나가다가 거기 한 다리 병신인 청년을 봤습니다.
And one day, while walking in her village, she saw a young man from her village who was crippled in his legs.
그 사람 무슨 일로 그런지 뭐냐면 다리가 아주 불편해서 걸으면 그냥 걷는 거 온 몸을 뒤틀어야 걸을 수 있는 아주 흉측하게 생긴 청년이에요.
And so I don't know why he was crippled, but his legs were so badly crippled that if he tried to walk, he had to swing his body violently to
이
walk.
여자가 무슨 생각이냐? 만일에 내가 저 남자가 결혼해서 저 남자의 아내가 되어주면
And then this woman thought, if I marry that man and become his wife,
저 남자가 너무너무 행복하겠다는 마음이 들었어요.
she thought that if I do that, it would make him so
만약
happy.
남편이 내가 좀 다리 병신이고 가난하고 그럴지라도
And even if my husband is a little bit poor and crippled in his legs,
남편이 정말 내가 그 남편이 대해주고 다리가 대해주면 너를 얼마나 행복해하고 기뻐할까.
but if I become his wife and I become his legs and everything, how happy he would become.
왜 그런 생각을 해봤습니다.
She thought about these things.
그런데 가만히 생각해 보니까
And then when she thought quietly,
정말 좋을 것 같은 거예요.
she thought that would be wonderful.
잘난 남자들, 잘난 사람들 뭐 잘났다고 하고 막 그 다투 그런 거보다도
You know, great men, they think they're so great, they argue, they boast, without dealing with anything of that.
이 여자는 낯선 그 처음 아래 동네 사는 아주 총각 그 다리 많이 저는 그 총각에 관심을 갖기 시작했어요.
So she, instead of such men, she began to be very interested in the man from her village who was crippled in his legs.
내가 정말 저 남자의 아내가 되고
If I become his wife,
저 남자의 다리가 돼서
and if I become his legs,
내 남편을 위해 요리를 해주고 빨래를 해주고 그럼 얼마나 행복해야
and if I
할까.
could cook for him, do his laundry, how happy that would make me.
그래서 남편 되는 사람 굉장히 행복할 거라는 생각을 했어요.
And she imagined the man, the husband, would be so happy.
남편이 행복하면 나도 행복해질 거다.
And if my husband becomes happy, I'll become happy too.
언니들 정말 결혼해가 진짜 멋지고 잘난 사람 결혼했는데
And my older sisters, they married fine, great men out in the
매일
world.
뭐 다투고 싸우고 이혼한다고 그런 거 보면 이게 훨씬 좋을 거라고
But
생각해요.
all they ever do is argue and fight and talk about divorce. I think it's better for me to marry this man.
이 여자 이제 그쪽으로 마음이 기울어지니까
And when her heart began to incline that way,
진짜 그 다리를 아주 심하게 절고 제대로 걷지도 못한 그 남자
this man who had a very bad limp and he was crippled in his legs,
사람의 마음이란 게 그런 것 같아요. 그냥 마음을 열고 생각하니까 점점 마음이 가까워지는데
but that's how people's heart goes. You know, she opened her heart, began to think about him. She was more and more drawn to him.
어떻게 그냥 그렇게 생각 한번 해보다가
And so these were just thoughts in her mind in the
진짜 이
beginning.
남자하고 결혼하면
And she began to really think, if I marry this
내가 이
man,
남자의 다리가 되어주고
I could be his legs.
내가 이 남자의 아내가 되어주면
And also if I could be this man's wife.
남편 너무너무 행복해 할 것 같은 거예요.
It felt like the husband would become so happy.
그러면 나도 행복해질 것 같고
Then that'll make me happy too.
좀 다리 병신은 좀 어때?
And so what if his legs are
좀
crippled?
가난하면 어때?
And so what if he's a little bit poor?
그래서 이 여자는 그 남자에 대한 마음에 많이 갔어요.
And therefore her heart was very drawn to this man.
어느 날 이 여자가 생각을 했어요.
And one day this woman, she thought.
그러니까 이 여자 마음이 벌써 남자에게 마음이 많이 갔고
And so her heart was very much drawn to him
마음이 이제
already.
결혼한 것 같은 그런 마음이 드는 거예요.
And she began to feel as if she was already married to him.
그러는 날 그 집을 찾아갔어요.
So one day she went to that man's house.
그 낯선 저 뭐야 안면 좀 있는 여잔데
And so they saw her and they've seen her around.
그래서 좀 잘 사는 그리고 괜찮은 집에 여자가 와서 사람들이 이렇게 뭐 어떻게 왔냐고 하고 그랬어요.
And so they know she lives well and she's from a nice family. So they asked her, what brings you here?
그 이야기를 좀 드릴 이야기가 있다고 얘기했어요.
And she said, there's something I need to tell you.
그래 그 총각의 아버지, 어머니, 가족들이 방에 모여 앉았어요.
And so the crippled man's mother and father and the family whole, they all gathered in the room.
이 아가씨가 이런 얘기를 해서 되는지 모르겠지만
And then the lady said, I don't know if it's okay for me to tell you
제
this.
마음에 있는 이야기인데 좀 말씀을 드리고
But she
싶어요.
says, I want to tell you what is in my heart.
나는 이분하고 결혼하고 싶습니다.
And she says, I would like to marry him.
내가 이분의 다리가 돼주고 이분의 아내가 돼 이분이 행복할 것 같다고.
If I become his legs, if I become his wife, I think it'll make him happy.
남편이 행복하다면 아내도 행복해질 거라.
And if the husband is happy, I think the wife will become happy too, she said.
그래 그 총각의 아버지는 깜짝 놀라는 거야.
And the young man's father was shocked.
아이고 장난치지 마시라고.
Please don't joke around with
말이 안
us.
된다고.
This is nonsense.
그런 말씀을 하십니까?
Please do not say such a thing.
우리는 가난하고
We are poor.
공부도 못했고
We are
그러기
uneducated.
내 아들은 병신인데
And also my son is crippled.
아 그런 이야기를 왜 하시냐고.
Why are you saying such a thing? He said.
아니라고 나는 정말 마음이 있는 얘기라고.
No, no, I am being honest with you from my heart.
가족들이 전부 다 말은 안 된다 그러면서
And everybody in the family was saying that this was nonsense.
굉장히 좋아하는 거예요.
Yet they were very happy about it.
그날은 그냥 그러고 말았어요.
And that day, that was that.
근데도 굉장히 따뜻하게 친절하게 대해주시고
And still they were very warm to her and kind to her.
이야기는 없는 이야기로 하겠습니다.
And they said, you know, we'll just completely ignore this,
그나마
okay?
자주 놀러 오세요.
But still, you can visit us anytime
그
you
정도로
want.
이제 끝이 났어요.
And that was that for that day.
이 여자는 가서 그 이야기를 하고 나니 그 남자가 더 가까워지고
But this lady, after speaking to the family, her heart was more drawn to the
마음에
man.
결혼한 것 같은 행복한 마음이 드는
And she
거예요.
began to feel so happy as if she had already
내가
married
정말
him.
저분에게 좋은 아내가 돼줘야지.
Wow, I'm going to be a great wife to
내가
him.
정말 남자를 행복하게
I
해줘야지.
really want to make him happy.
내가 정말 기쁘게 해줘야겠다.
I really want to have him
그런
rejoice.
마음이 가득 차가게 왔어요.
She was full of that kind of a heart.
그냥 숨길 수가 없어서
And she could not hide it any longer.
어머니한테 이야기를
So
했어요.
she went and told her mother,
엄마 내가 말씀드릴 게 있는데
Mom, there's something I need to tell you.
무슨 얘기나 해라.
Oh, what is it? Go ahead.
엄마 나 결혼하고 싶어요.
Mom, I want to get married.
엄마가 깜짝 놀라는
The mother was shocked.
야, 안 그래도 네가 결혼할 나이가 됐는데
Hey, I know you are of the age to get
내가
married.
그걸 위해 걱정하고 있었는데
And I've been worried about that for you.
정말 좋은 이야기다.
But that's great. I'm glad you want to get
네가
married.
그동안 사귀는 남자가 있었니?
So, do you have a boyfriend?
엄마가 그런 건 아니고요.
Well, no, not really, Mom.
괜찮아. 어떤 걸 이야기를 해.
No, no, it's okay. Go ahead. You can tell us anything.
그냥 혼자 생각해 본 남자가 있어.
Well, there is a guy that I've been thinking about.
그래.
Really?
그 사람이 누구야?
Who is he?
정말 좋은 뭐 하는 사람이?
Is he a good man? What does he
어느
do?
학교를 나왔니?
What school did he go
직장이
to?
뭐니?
What does he do for work?
아니라니까요.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's
아니
nothing.
뭐야?
No, who is he?
누구야? 이야기부터
Who is
해봐.
it? Tell me.
그래서 그 다리 아픈 남자 얘기했어.
So she told him about the man who was crippled in his legs.
엄마가 막 깜짝 놀라.
The mother was shocked.
네가 무엇 때문에 그 병신하고 결혼하려고 해?
Why would you marry a crippled man?
네가 뭐 공부를 적게 했어, 인물이 못났어. 네가 무엇 때문에 그 가난한 정말 그 병신한테 결혼하려고?
You are well educated, you are pretty. Why would you marry that crippled poor man?
아니 엄마 내 결정은 아니 그냥 한번 생각을 그래 해봤어요.
Oh, mom, I haven't decided yet. I just been thinking about it.
말이 되는 소리를 해야지. 네가 뭐 때문에 그런 집에 결혼해야 산다고 생각을 해.
Cut the nonsense. This makes no sense at all. Why would you want to marry a poor family like his?
엄마 인생이란 건 그런 게 아니잖아요.
Well, Mom, you know that's not how life works.
둘이 마음이 흐르면 좋은 거죠.
If two people's hearts flow together, then that's
내가
enough.
그 남자에게 아내가 돼주고 발이 돼주면 남자가 너무너무 행복해질 것 같아요.
If I become that man's legs and become his wife, I think it'll make him so happy.
그러면 우리는 행복해지는 거 아니에요?
Then we're gonna be happy, aren't we?
시끄럽다고 말
Hey, cut it out.
닫아라.
cut it out.
그래 그날부터 집에 이제 소란이 벌어지기.
And so from then on, it was a chaos in her home.
아버지가 막 한숨을 쉬면서 내가 너를 어떻게 키웠는데.
The father was very disappointed. How did I
엄마
raise
네
you?
결혼이라고 하지만
I know it's your marriage,
맞는
but
사람을 결혼해야 하지.
you should marry someone who
그럼
fits
병신
you.
네가 뭐 때문에 병신의 아내가 된다는 거야.
Why would you want to become a crippled guy's wife?
아 언니들은 뭐 잘난 사람 만나 매일 이혼한다고 싸우고 내가 나 진절머리 나요.
Well, look at my sisters. They marry great men, but always are fighting and talking about
저분은
divorce.
내가 진짜 저분 내가 남 아내가 돼주면
But this man, if I become his wife,
너무너무 행복해질 거예요.
it's going to make him so happy.
그 나는 그게 좋을 것 같아요.
And so I think that's what's going to be good.
그날부터 집에 갑자기 큰 풍파가 일어났어요.
And from then on, there was a great commotion at home.
아버지가 설득을 하고
The father tried to persuade her. The mother yelled at her
그래도
and rebuked her, but still,
엄마 좀 우리 서로 살아가면 되지.
Mom, we love each other. That's enough.
뭐 병신이면 어떻고 뭐 못 배우면 어떻고 가난하면 어때요?
So what if
서로
he's
행복하면
crippled?
되지.
So what if he's uneducated? So what if he's poor? As long as we're happy.
여자 마음은 아주 단호했습니다.
And she was very determined.
그날부터 이제 아버지는 알아눕기 시작했고
And from then on, her father got sick and laid down.
세상에 내가 너 귀하게 키웠는데
How could you? I raised you so
네가 이런
preciously.
소리 할 줄은 꿈에도 생각지 못했다.
How could you? I never thought you would say something like this.
생각해. 부모된 우리는 생각 안 해?
You are so selfish. Don't you consider us your parents?
아버지 결혼은 내가 하는 거잖아요.
Father, I'm the one getting
내
married.
마음에 드는 사람.
I want to marry the one I want.
내가 저분의 아내가 되어주면 저분은 너무 기뻐할 거예요.
If I become his wife
행복해할 거예요.
he's going to be so happy.
그러면 난 만족한 거예요.
Then that's good enough for
남편이
me.
좋으면 나도 행복해지지요.
And if my husband is happy, that'll make me happy too.
굉장히 많은 어려운 일들이 지나갔습니다.
And a lot of difficult times passed by.
어느 날 여자가 그 집에 자주 찾아가기 시작했고
And this woman began to visit that man's house frequently.
아무리 반대해도 그걸 막을 수 없었습니다.
And no matter how much people are against it, they cannot stop her.
드디어 어느 날 이제 그 두 사람이 결혼을 하게 됩니다.
And finally, it was the wedding of the two of them.
신부 집엔 아무도 오질 않았습니다.
Nobody from the wife's family showed up.
아버지 어머니 속이 상해서 이제 들어 알아 누웠습니다.
The mother and father were so upset they had to lie down.
초조하게 결혼식을 했습니다.
And so they had a small wedding.
결혼식 너무너무 행복했어요.
But at the wedding, they were so happy.
이제 한 집에 모여서 한 방에 이렇게 아침 식사를 하는데
And so now she married into that family. They were eating breakfast all together in one room.
이제 그 아침을 먹고 나면 모두 자리를 떠나려고 하질 않습니다.
But after breakfast, nobody would want to leave.
이제 새로운 며느리가 무슨 얘기하면 하하하 웃고
When their new daughter-in-law would say something, ha ha ha, they would all laugh.
너무너무 행복한 하루하루가 지나갑니다.
Every day was so full of happiness.
여자는 진짜 행복했어요.
And this woman was so happy.
다리 병시면 어때?
So what if he's crippled in his
가난하면
legs?
어때?
So what if we're poor?
이제 온 가족들이 시아버지, 시어머니 막 자기를 너무 귀하게 여겨주고
Now the whole family, the father-in-law, mother-in-law, they cherished her so much.
시동생들도 정말 자기를 따뜻해주고
And the siblings-in-law were so kind to her.
이제 이 여자는 숲속에 공주가 된 것이
And
됐어요.
this woman felt like a princess in the forest.
정말 기뻤습니다.
And she was so happy.
이 여자가 무슨 얘기를 하면 온 가족 하하하 웃고
When this woman would say the same thing, the whole family would
특히
laugh.
아침 식사를 마치고도 뭐 돌아가려고 하지만 막 한참 동안 앉아 이야기하고 웃고 즐기고 했습니다.
And especially after breakfast, nobody would get up. They would sit there for a good while talking and
그
laughing.
집에 젊은 여자가 하나 들어와서
By a new young lady marrying into that
우리가
home,
너무너무 좋아지고 행복해지고 아름다워지고
the whole household became full of happiness and joy and beauty.
여자는 너무너무 행복했어요.
And this woman was so happy.
다리 병신 뭐 아무 문제 없어.
He's crippled in his legs, no problem.
행복하면 됐지.
As long as we're happy.
정말 이 여자는 완전히 그 집의 꽃이었고 전부였었어요.
And this woman was a flower to that home, and she was everything to them.
한 번씩 이야기하면 온 식구가 지금 웃으면서 즐거워하고 기뻐하고 그 집에 사랑을 독차지했습니다.
And when she would say something, the whole family would rejoice and laugh and be happy. She took all the love of that home.
여자는 한평생 살아왔지만 이렇게 행복해 보긴 처음인데
And she also had never been this happy her whole life.
시아버지가 너무 극진히 위해 주시고
And her father-in-law cared for her so much.
시어머니가 막 세심한 데까지 마음을 써주시고
And her mother-in-law took good care of her.
기뻐하고 즐거워했습니다.
And they rejoiced and were full of
아들도
happiness.
좋아하고
The son was also
그다음
happy.
시동생들도 좋아하고
The siblings-in-law were happy.
너무 기뻤습니다.
And they were all so happy.
그래서 하루하루를 행복한 날들이 흘러갔습니다.
And they were getting by the day by day in happiness.
세상에 운명의 신이라고들 말을 하는데
Everyone, they say it's called the fate of the world.
사람의 운명은 누가 정한 것인가요?
No, who decides people's fate?
사람들은 왜 불행이 와야 하는가요?
Why must misery come to
왜
people?
서로 의심을 하고 미워해야 하는지
Why must people doubt and hate each other?
이 집은 전혀 다른 새로운 하늘나라 같은 집이었어요.
And so this home now was like a heaven. It was a whole new place.
서로 실수할 때 누가 하나 불평한 사람이
Even though there
없었고
was mistakes, nobody would complain.
이해를 해주고
They would be understanding.
사랑을 해주고
They loved her.
기뻐해주고
And they rejoiced for her.
즐거워해주고
And they were so happy.
정말 꿈 같은 시간들이 흘러갔어요.
And the life she was living felt like a dream.
아마 이런 꿈 같은 세계 집은 어디에도 없을 거예요.
And there is no dreamy place like this anywhere else, she thought.
이제 이 여자 점점 집 안에서 귀한 존재가 돼가고 행복해졌습니다.
And this woman, they cherished her more and she became so happy.
여자는 다리 아픈 남편이지만 너무너무 행복했어요.
And even though her husband was crippled, she was so happy.
괜히들 그런다고 말이에요.
And she thought, why did everybody think of it as a big deal? So what if he's crippled?
가난하면 어때?
So what if he's poor?
정말 이제 우리가 행복하면 됐지.
You know, as long as we're happy.
행복하게 살았어요.
And they lived in so much happiness.
이제 집에 친정집은 전혀 연락도 없었고
And her own family did not call her
어떻게
anymore.
사는지도 몰랐어요.
And they did not know how she was doing.
근데 여러분 그 행복이 1년, 10년, 20년, 50년, 100년 흘러가서 얼마나 좋을까요?
But everyone, if that happiness could last a year, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, or 100 years, how nice that would have been.
그 세상에는 악한 신들이 있어가지고
But there are evil spirits in the world,
우리가 행복해하는 걸 보고 견디질 못한다
and
그러더라고요.
they are unable to bear to see us happy.
그래서 불행한 걸로 우리를 자꾸 이끈다 그러더라고요.
And that's why they continue to lead us to misery.
여자는 정말 숲속의 공주 같았습니다.
And this woman felt like a princess in the forest.
밖에 어른들이 나갔다 오면 자기부터 먼저 찾고
When the grown-ups would come home, they would be first to go say hello
또
to
시어머니
her.
다니면 뭐 손에 뭘 사가지고 와서 주고
Her mother-in-law would go shopping and always bring her home stuff.
별로 비싼 건 아니지만
And nothing expensive.
이 여자는 너무 행복했어요.
Yet still, this woman was so happy.
근데 안타깝게도 그 행복이 오래 가지를 못했어요.
But unfortunately, that happiness did not last long.
1년이 가고
1 year passed,
10년이 가고
10 years passed,
30년이 가고
30 years passed,
50년이 가고
50 years passed.
100년이 갔으면 얼마나 좋았겠어요.
And if it lasted 100 years, how nice that would have been.
그 행복이 1년을 채 가지 못했어요.
But the happiness did not last 1 year.
집에 이제 돌아와서 이제 새로운 삶을 시작한 몇 달 됐는데
And so she came home. It had been a few months since she started a new life.
어느 날 시어머니가 며느리께 이런 이야기를 했어요.
One day, the daughter-in-law said to her, the mother-in-law said to her,
야, 아가 내가 지금까지는 시장에 가서 내가 찬을 사고 했는데
the mother-in-law said to her, baby, until now I've been doing all the grocery shopping.
오늘부터는 네가 가서 장을 봐가지고 오너라.
But from today, why don't you do the grocery shopping?
부탁을 했어요.
She asked her to.
그래서 이제 하고 이제 시어머니 장바구니하고 돈을 받아들였어요.
And she said yes and received the mother-in-law's shopping basket and some money.
남편이 여보 나 시장 다녀올게요.
And the husband said, honey, I'm going to go to the market.
결혼하고 난 뒤에 몇 달 만에 처음으로 외부에 나들이를 왔어요.
And so for the first time after getting married, it had been months, now she was finally going shopping on her
장바구니
own.
들고 돈을 또 이제 손에 들고 시장 보러 그렇게 행복한 거예요.
And so she took the shopping basket and then some money. She went to go grocery shopping. She was so happy.
정말 맛있는 거 많이 사다가 시아버지, 시어머니 드려야지.
And I'm going to buy a lot of delicious groceries to serve to my mother and
시아버지가
father-in-law.
뭘 잘 먹는 걸 알았습니다.
And she knew what her father-in-law liked to
그래서 그
eat.
진짜 시아버지 좋아하는 거, 시어머니 좋아하는 거, 시동생 좋아하는 남편 좋아하는 거 사기로 하고
And
시장을 갔습니다.
And she went to go shopping to buy what her mother-in-law, father-in-law, and her husband liked to
이제
eat.
가방을 들고 장바구니 들고 이제 그러니까 또 가난한 집이니까 옛날부터 돈을 막 써서 안 돼, 돈을 깎아야 하고 막 그런 생각하면서 이제 채소 집을 갔어요.
And so she, took a shopping basket, and she knew she had to conserve money because they weren't that very well off, and she went to a vegetable shop.
배추 이거 얼마세요?
How much is the cabbage?
얼마라고?
Oh, it's this much.
여자 웃으면 좀 깎아주세요.
The woman smiled, discount please.
이거 별로 남는 거 없어요.
We don't get much.
그렇지만 깎아줄게요.
Please I'll give you a discount
조금
though.
깎아줄게요.
No, I'll give you a little discount.
이제 이 여자는 옛날에 부잣집에 살다 가난한 집이니까 모두 절약해야 한다는 이야기를 듣고 자 이제 깎고 했어요.
And so she used to live in a rich home, but now she was living in a poor home. She knew she had to conserve money, so she was always asking for discounts.
그래 동네 사람들 자기 아는 사람들이 많은데
And a lot of the people of the village knew her.
잘 지내냐 웃으면서 이제 싸게 좀 깎아주고 해서 이제 배추를 샀어요.
And she smiled at them. She said, I'm doing well. She asked for a discount. She bought the cabbage.
그리고 이제 계란도 좀 사고
And bought some eggs.
무도 사고
And some radish.
감자도 사고
And some potatoes.
그래 하나 막 정말 너무 행복한 거예요.
And she was so happy to be doing this.
마음이 행복하니 시장을 보는 것도 행복했고
And because her heart was happy, grocery shopping was happy. She was joyous.
기뻤어요.
And she was full of happiness.
그래가지고 이제 잔뜩 이제 무거운 장바구니 들고
And she picked up the heavy shopping basket.
행복에 젖은 마음으로 빨리 가서 시아버지를 위해서 시어머니 위해서 남편 위해서 이제 음식을 요리를 해줘야지.
And her heart was so full of happiness. Now she wanted to come home quickly and cook something delicious for her father-in-law, mother-in-law, and her husband.
서둘러서 빠른 걸음으로 집으로 향했어요.
And so with her quick footsteps, she rushed home.
그래서 집 가까이 왔는데
And she was almost home.
보니까 대문 앞에 남편이 와서 기다리고 있는 거예요.
But she could see that outside the front gate, her husband was standing there waiting for
너무
her.
반가웠어요.
She was so happy to see him.
어머니 장 다 봤어요. 이제 왔어요.
Honey, I went grocery shopping. Now I'm home.
깜짝 놀란 거는
But she was shocked
남편 얼굴이 굉장히 막 상기돼 있는 거예요.
to see that her husband's face looked very upset.
여보 왜 그래요?
Honey, what's wrong?
시끄러.
Be quiet.
빨리 방에 들어와.
Get inside.
왜 화를 내세요?
Why are you so mad?
화내지 마세요.
Don't be mad.
무슨 일이 있었어요?
Is something wrong?
나 화내보면 무서워요.
It's scary to see you mad. Be quiet.
남편이 소리를 질렀어요.
The husband yelled at her.
그리고 물었어요.
And then he asked her,
당신 오늘 시장에 누구 만났어요?
You, who did you go see at the grocery store today?
누굴 만나기는요.
Who did I go see?
그럼 아무도 안 만났단 말이야?
Are you telling me you didn't see anyone?
어디서 거짓말을 하고 있어?
How dare you lie to me?
왜 그러세요?
Oh, what's wrong?
화내지 마세요. 나
Don't
너무
be mad.
무서워요.
You're scaring me.
남편이 화가 잔뜩 나.
The husband was angry.
누구 만나냐
I
묻잖아.
asked you, who did you go see?
채소 장수요.
I saw the vegetable vendor.
또 누구 만났어?
Who else did you see?
계란 장수요.
The egg salesman.
왜 그러세요?
What's wrong?
남편이 막 너무 화를 내 얼굴에 뻘게 타르겠어.
The husband was so angry, his face was red with rage.
이게 무슨 영을 알 수가 없는
And
거야.
she had no idea why he was so mad.
알 수가 없었어.
There was no way, she had no idea.
여보 왜 그래요?
Honey, what's wrong?
시끄러. 또 누구 만나서?
Be quiet. Who else did you go see?
아무도 안 만났어요.
I didn't see anyone else.
여자가 어디서 거짓말을 해?
This woman, how dare you lie to me?
문을 확 열었어요.
And he opened up the door.
옛날 그 시대는 연탄을 떼던 시대인데.
This was a long time ago, and back then the houses used to use charcoal for
방
heat.
앞에 바로 이제 연탄을 찝는 쇠로도 이만큼 긴 집게가 있었어요.
And right in front of the room was a big metal tongue, this big, that they used to pick up charcoal.
남편이 그거 딱 쳐들어.
The husband picked up the metal tongs,
여자 깜짝 놀랐어요.
and the woman got angry.
왜 그러세요?
Honey, what's wrong?
그래.
Be quiet.
누구 만났어?
Who did you go see?
아무도 안 만났어.
I didn't see anyone.
어디서 거짓말이야?
How dare you lie to me? Boom.
그러니까 그 팔에 시퍼런 줄이 연탄 찢게 줄이 쫙 선.
And her arm was striped blue with bruise from the metal tongs.
여자가 너무 놀랐어요.
This woman was shocked.
아프지도 않는데
She couldn't even feel the pain.
남자가 막 사정을 때리는 거예요.
The husband just beat her mindlessly.
이게 무슨 일이야?
What is going on?
이게 무슨 일이야?
What is going on?
우린 정말 행복했는데
We were so happy.
이게 무슨 일이야?
What is going on?
도저히 이해가 안 가는 거야.
She could not understand this at all.
눈물이 흐르는데
And tears were streaming down her face.
소리 지를 수 없어.
And she could not yell.
남자가 막 사정없이 때렸어.
And the husband just mindlessly beat her.
내가 행복했는데
I was so happy.
보면 다 싫어해도 내가 이 남편 따라왔는데
And even though my parents were against me, I came and married
이게
you.
무슨 일이야?
But what is going on now?
미칠 것 같은 거야.
It drove her
대답이
crazy.
없는.
She had no idea.
한참 때리다가
After beating her mindlessly,
남편이 깜짝 놀라.
after beating her for a while, the husband was shocked.
여보, 내가 미쳤어. 내가 내 진짜 여보, 내가 미쳤어.
Honey, I think I was crazy. I think I was out of my
내가
mind.
잘못했어요.
What did I do? What have I done? I'm so sorry.
팔에 약을 발라줘요.
And he would put medicine on her arms.
여자는 이게 무슨 일이야?
And this woman thought, what is going on?
우리가 행복했는데,
We were happy.
우리가 즐거웠는데,
We were full of joy.
우리 기뻤는데,
And we were joyous.
아프지가 않는 거예요.
And it didn't even hurt anymore.
도저히 이해가 안 가. 이거 뭐야? 표현할 수가 없는
And
거야.
she could not understand. She could not express what was going on.
해답을 찾으려고 마음에 아무리 생각을 해봐도
And no matter how much she thought about looking for an answer,
이해가 안 가고
she could not
알
understand.
수가 없어요.
And she had no idea.
남편이 막 잠을 붙잡고
The husband held on to
막
her,
하나도 귀에 들어오질 않는 거예요.
but she couldn't hear a thing he was saying.
내가 엄마 아빠 그렇게 말리는데
Oh, mother and father, they try to stop me.
내가 이 사람의 다리가 돼주고 이 사람 아내가 돼주면
But if I became his legs and if I became his
이
wife,
사람이 행복할 줄 알았는데
I thought he would be happy.
왜 나를 때리는 거야?
Why is he beating me?
그걸 알 수 없는 거야.
She could not,
왜
she
나를
didn't
이렇게
know.
괴롭히는 거야?
Why is he
왜
torturing
나를 이렇게
me?
어렵게 해야 하는 거야?
Why is he giving me such a hard time?
그날부터
From that day,
그 아내 입에 말이 없어졌어요.
she began to speak no more.
그냥 일어나서 밥도 하고
She would get up, she would cook,
일도 하지만
and she would do what she needed to do.
텀이 있을 때는 정신 빠진 넋을 잃고 날 쳐다볼 생각이 잘.
And then, when she had time, she would just sit in her room and stare blankly into the space.
5년 지난 얼마 동안 너무 행복했는데
For the last few months, we were so happy.
내가 무슨 죄가 있어 그런 거야.
Is it because I have some kind of a sin?
왜 이런 일을 내가 겪어야?
Why do I have to go through something like this?
도저히 의문이 풀리질 않는.
And those questions would not be answered in her heart.
이 남자는 자기 아내가 집을 나가고 나면
And this man, whenever his wife would go out for a little bit,
그때마다 생각 하나 일어나는 게 있어.
a thought would arise inside of him.
아내는 너무너무 착해.
My wife is such a nice person.
순진해.
She's so pure.
정말 예뻐.
And she's so pretty.
참 사랑해.
And she's so lovable.
근데 순진해 나 같은 남자와 결혼했지.
And she was so simple. That's why she married a man like me.
이제 밖에 나가서 진짜 멋진 남자,
If she goes out and meets some great man,
잘생긴 남자
if she
보면
sees some good-looking guy,
또 그 남자를 따라갈 거야.
then again she'll pursue him.
그 생각에 남편이 막 미칠 것 같은 거야.
The husband thought these thoughts, it drove him crazy.
자기가 병신인데
I'm crippled.
잘생긴 남자를 따라가는데 뭐라고 말할 수가 없는 거죠.
And if she goes after other men, what
야,
could he
너 같은
say?
병신 싫어 그럴
And
건데
she's going to say to me, I don't like a cripple like you.
나 행복했는데
I used to be so happy.
너무 두려워.
And he was so afraid.
막 여자 자기 아내 웃으면서 그 남자 나는 진짜 잘생긴 남자하고 식당에 가서 같이 음식 먹으면서 잘 웃는 웃음을 하고 있는 그 생각이 막 미칠 것 같아.
He would imagine his wife going and seeing a handsome man going to a restaurant and eating together, thinking this drove him crazy.
견딜 수가 없는 거예요.
He could not bear it.
한쪽에서 아니야 하지만
On one hand, he thought, no, it's not true.
근데 계속 그 마음이 일어나니까
But continuously, that heart arose in
몸이
him.
달아오고 막 견딜 수 없는 거예요.
His body began to shiver. He couldn't handle it.
그때마다 연탄 집게를 드는 거예요.
And each time, he would pick up the metal
그리고
tongs.
막 잘못했다고 막 뉘우치고
And then he would be so remorseful.
그런 삶이 이제 하루하루가 지나요.
And that kind of life passed by day.
아침을 먹고 이렇게 즐거웠던 웃음소리가 다 끝나버렸어요.
And after having all the laughter they used to have after breakfast was now all gone.
시아버지, 시어머니는 아무 말씀도 하시지
The
않았어요.
father and mother-in-law would say nothing anymore.
그런 며느리 눈치만 보고 있었어요.
And they were just worried about what she would be thinking.
병신 아들을 낳아서 그런지
Maybe because they had a crippled
그들이
son,
다 죄인이 된 것이 아무 말을 못하고
they all felt like sinners. They were unable to say anything.
며느리 눈치만 보고 있는 거예요.
And they were just searching the face of the daughter-in-law.
너무 슬펐어요.
And they were so sad.
이제 아침을 먹으러 모이면 아무 말 없이 어서 아침을 먹고
Now when it's time for breakfast, everybody would eat
아침
silently.
먹자마자 숟가락 놓고
And as soon as they're done, put their spoons
뿔뿔이
down
흩어지고
and just scatter away.
시부모는 며느리 눈치만 보고
And the mother-in-law, she's just so worried what the daughter-in-law is
며느리 틈만
thinking.
있으면
And then the daughter-in-law, whenever she had time,
먼 하늘 쳐다보면 입을 벌리고 멍청하게 생각에 잠겨 있고
she would just stare blankly into the space with her mouth open.
그래서 그 집에 그 기쁨 평안이 다 없어졌어요.
And all the joy and peace in that home was gone.
이제 중요한 것은
Now the important thing is,
저는 제가 교도소에서
you know, in prisons,
10년 동안 그 재소자들을 가르쳤습니다.
for 10 years, I had educated the inmates.
수원 교도소에서 하고 대전 교도소에서 각각 5년씩 그렇게 가르쳤습니다.
At Suwon Prison and also at Daejeon Prison, I had taught for 5 years each.
그래서 제가 이제 거기 가서 교도소에서 재소자들 가르치다가 많은 걸 배웠습니다.
And as I went to those prisons and taught the inmates, I learned many things.
이제 그 재소자들이 그 교도소 오는 건 정해져 있어요.
And it is decided what kind of inmates end up in prison.
뭐 때문에 교도소 오느냐?
Why do they end up in prison?
보통 사람이 도둑질하거나 그런 죄를 짓고 싶어도
Even though most people want to commit theft or some kind of crime,
잡히면 교도소 가기 때문에
once they get caught, they end up in prison.
두렵기 때문에
They're afraid,
도둑질 안 하죠.
they do not steal.
도둑질하는 사람은 왜 하지요?
But the people who do steal, why do they do that?
죄를 짓는 왜 죄를 짓습니까?
And people who commit sins, why do they commit sin?
아주 이유는 단순합니다.
The reason is very simple.
어떠냐면은
It is because
내가 이렇게 하면 안 잡힐 거야.
if I do it like this, I will not get caught.
그렇게 사람들이 생각을 해요.
That is how people think.
내가 이렇게 하면 안 잡힐 거야.
If I do it like this, I will not get caught.
그걸 확신을 해요.
They are so sure of that.
그리고 이제 뭐 자기가 예를 들어 도둑을 잡히면 감옥에 가는데 누가 하겠어요?
And for example, if they go to jail for being caught stealing, then why would they steal?
그러니까 이제 생각이 자기 생각 속에 머물러 있는 거죠.
And so therefore their own thoughts remain, they remain within their own thoughts.
내가 이렇게 하면 안 잡힐 거야.
If I do this, I will not get caught.
안 잡힌다고 어떻게 장담을 해요?
How can they be sure that they will not get caught?
근데 자기가 도둑질하고 싶은 마음이 생기니까
But they have the heart to go steal,
잡히는 쪽으로 생각이 안 가고
and their thoughts do not go into the way of thinking that they're going to get caught,
안 잡히는 쪽으로 생각이 가는 거예요.
but their thoughts go into the way of thinking that I'm not going to get
그래,
caught.
그걸 믿고
They believe in that,
또 도둑질을 해요.
and again they steal.
그러다 또 잡혀요.
And again they get caught.
나오면서 아 내가 이번에 왜 잡혔지?
And as they leave, they think, oh, why did I get caught?
내 생각이 모자랐어.
I was short in thought. That's why.
지문을 남겨 잡혔어.
I got caught because I left fingerprints behind.
다음에는 내가 장갑을 끼고 가면
Next time, if I wear gloves,
절대 그래서 경찰 날 못 잡을 거야.
the police will never be able to capture me.
괜찮을 거야. 안
I'll be
걸릴
okay.
거야.
I'll be okay.
그런 생각을 하는 분들이 대부분이에요.
Most people have those kinds of thinking.
그러니까 이제 왜 잡힐 가능성이 얼마든지 있는데
And so there's a great chance they can get caught.
토박하는 사람 똑같아요.
Same thing with gambling addicts.
어떤 생각으로 토박을 하냐면은
What kind of people become gambling addicts?
토박하는 사람 돈을 따고 싶어서 하지 돈을 잃으려고 하는 사람 한 사람도 없는 거예요.
When people gamble, they all think about winning. Nobody gambles to lose.
돈을 따고 싶어도 그냥 따고 싶은 게 아니라
And when they win, they don't just want to win.
자기가 토박 많은 재산을 날렸으니까
And, oh, because I've lost so much wealth
그
already because
재산
of
또
gambling,
찾아야겠다는 생각이 들고
they think I got to recover all
그래서
that.
빨리 해야겠다는 생각이 드니까
So they feel like they got to go quickly do it.
이제 진짜 중요한 것은
So the very important thing
좀 더
is,
깊이 생각하면 괜찮은데
if they think a little bit more deeper, they can know, but
이번에는 돈을 꼭 딸 것 같은 마음이 들어요.
they feel like, well, this time I will surely win money.
왜 그 생각이 드는지 아십니까?
Do you know why they feel that way?
토박에 돈을 따기 위해 토박을 하려고 하니까
Because they are wanting to gamble to
딸
win.
것 같은 마음이 드는
They
거예요.
feel like they're going to win.
딸 것 같은 마음이 들었다가
They felt like they were going to win,
토박을 했는데
and then they gambled,
잃었어요.
and then they lost.
집이 날라갔어요.
You lost your home.
가서 슬퍼하면 이제는 하지 말아야겠다.
And they should grieve, and they should think, well, I should stop now.
다음에 토박을 해요.
But next time they gamble again. Why?
지난번 잃었지만
I lost last time,
이번엔 딸 것 같은 마음이 들어요.
but this time I feel like I'm going to win.
지난번에 딸 것도 못 땄는데
Well, last time I felt like I was going to win, but I
이번에
lost.
딸 것쯤 잃을 수 있겠구나.
Well, then this time it feels like I'm going to win, but I may
그
lose.
생각이 든다면
Had they think like that,
절대 도박을 안 해.
then they would never gamble.
근데 자기가 따고 싶으면 따고 그 같은 마음이 들었어.
But they think they want to win, so they think they're going to win.
조금만 생각하면
If they just become more thoughtful,
지난번에 내가 딸 것 같지만 잃었었는데
well, last time I thought I was going to win, but I lost.
이번에도 딸 것 같아도 잃을 수 있겠구나.
This time as well, I think that I may win, but I might lose.
그 정도의 생각이 들어가면
If they're able to think that much,
잃을 수 있다면 도박을 안 해요.
then they realize they may lose and they will not
딸 것
gamble.
같으니까.
But they feel like they're going to win.
도박을 하는 거예요.
They do. That's why they gamble.
중요한 게 뭐냐면은
The important thing is,
우리가 이제 마인드 강의 가장 중요한
the
것은
most important thing in mind education is
사고를 해야 하는 것이에요.
to know how to think.
아무리 그 알고 있는 거 좀 더 깊이 사고를 하다 보면
More than just what you know, if you think a little more deeply,
내가 생각지 못했던 일들을 알게 되는 거예요.
then you get to know of the things that you had not thought of.
한국에는 자동차 공장이 독일이나 일본이나 미국보다 훨씬 늦게 시작됐어요.
In Korea, they build car factories much later than the US or Japan.
현재 서울은 1.8명당 그 자동차가 한 대라고 하더라고요.
Right now in Seoul, there is a car per every 1.8 persons.
그래 이제 수십 년 전에 한국의 사람들이 생각을 한 거예요.
And so many decades ago, the people in Korea thought,
한국이 지금은 가난하지만
although Korea is a poor country right now,
앞으로는 우리가 잘 사는 나라가 되면은
in the future, if we become a well-off country,
자동차가 많이 필요할 거야.
we're going to need a lot of cars.
그럼 우리나라에 자동차가 얼마나 필요할까?
Then how many cars would we need in Korea?
100만 대가 필요할까?
Would we need 1 million
그보다
cars?
훨씬 더 많게.
No, we're going to need a lot more than
1000만 대가
that.
필요할까?
Would we need 10 million
그런 거
cars?
계산해 보니까
And when they calculated these things,
자동차를 외국에 사오니까 우리 돈이 많이 해외로 나가야 하는 거예요.
because Korea used to import cars from abroad, we would have to send a lot of money abroad.
그런데 자동차 공장을 만들자.
So let's build car factories.
여러분 참 안타까운 한국은 그때 자동차 공장을 만들려고 엔진을 못 만들었어요.
But back then, everyone, Korea wanted to build cars, but they were unable to make engines.
근데 엔진은 어떡하지?
So what about engines?
네.
We can't.
그래서 생각을 했어요.
So they thought,
아 엔진 못 만들 자동차 못 만들어야 해.
oh, we can't make engines, so does that mean we can't build a car?
그 엔진 못 만들면 차만 만들면 못해. 어떻게 하고?
You know, how are we going to make a car without building engines? How is the car going to go?
그건 그래 그렇지만 그렇다 외국에 차를 사다 쓰면 우리가 얼마나 많은 돈을 외국에 보내야 하는데.
I know, but if we import cars, we have to send so much money abroad.
그러니까 차를 만들어야 돼.
So we have to build our own
차를
cars.
만들면 못해. 엔진 보면 안 되지.
I know we should, but we don't know how to build engines, so how are we going to do this?
그 다음에 생각하다가 무슨 생각이냐면
And then what they thought of was,
우리 일본 가까운 나라인데
well, Japan is a country
일본
nearby.
엔진을 사다 쓰면 되겠구나.
How about if we purchase engines from Japan and use
그래서
them?
한국 사장이 일본 자동차 사장을 찾아왔어요.
So the Korean car company CEO went to a Japanese car company CEO.
안녕하세요.
Hello.
아, 예, 안녕하세요.
Oh, yes, hello.
아, 반갑습니다.
Ah, nice to meet you.
아, 예, 근데 어떻게 오셨죠?
Oh, so what brings you here?
우리가 자동차 공장을 만들려 합니다.
Well, we are wanting to build a car factory.
한국이 자동차를 만든다고요?
What car is Korea is gonna make a car factory?
엔진 만드는 거 쉽지 않아요.
It's not easy building
차체를 만들 수 있는
engines.
엔진은 그리 쉽지 않은데요.
You can make the frame, but the engine's hard.
예, 그래서 왔습니다.
Yes, that's why we're here.
어떻게 오셨습니까?
So what brings you here?
당신 엔진을 사다가 한국에 차를 만들어요.
We want to purchase your engines to build our cars in Korea.
일본 사장이 엔진을 많이 팔려 너무 좋아. 그거 참 잘해서 좋아요.
The Japanese CEO was excited to sell his engines. Oh, that's a great idea.
그래, 우리가 당신 엔진을 샀을 테니까
Okay, so we will purchase your engines,
엔진 만든 법을 앞으로 좀 가르쳐 주십시오.
but in the future, please teach us how to make engines.
그거 좋은 생각이죠.
Ah, that's a great
우리가
idea.
가르쳐 두겠습니다.
We will teach you.
그래서 한국은 일본 엔진을 사다가 자동차를 만들어요.
So Korea first built cars by purchasing engines from Japan.
얼마 지난 뒤에
After some time,
한국 사장이 일본에 갔어요.
the Korean CEO went back to Japan.
안녕하세요.
Hello.
어떻게 오셨죠?
So what brings you here?
이제 우리도 자동차 기술 좀 많이 늘었으니까 엔진만 아직 한국 멀었어요. 안 돼요.
I think we're ready to build our own engines now. Can you teach us? No, you have a long way to go, Korea. No.
예, 죄송합니다.
Okay, we're sorry.
왔어요.
And he left.
그 다음에 다시 갔어요.
And then the next year he went back again.
또 이야기를 했어요.
And he said again.
한국 아직 멀었어요. 엔진만 쉽지 않아요.
The Japanese CEO said, Korea has a long way to go. You're not ready to build your engines yet.
그래 안 가르치는데 할 말이 없는 거예요.
And he refused to teach them, and there was nothing the Korean CEO could
세
do.
번째 갔다 그러더라고요.
And he went to him the third time.
또 일본 사장이 그렇게 말해요.
Again, the Japanese CEO refused.
한국 사장이 화가 났어요.
The Korean CEO got angry.
그러면 우리가 엔진 한번 만들어 보겠습니다.
Well, then we will build our own engines,
되든 안 되든.
whether it works or not.
뭐라고요?
What did you say?
당신들이 만든 엔진으로 자동차 굴러갈 수 있다고 생각을 해요?
You think the cars with the engines that you made will actually go?
내가 이거 누구한테 들은 이야기인데
You know, I heard this from someone.
사실인지는 모르겠어요.
I don't know if this is a true
하여튼
story,
이렇게 됐다 그러더라고요.
but I heard that's what happened.
사장 얼른 볼펜을
So the Korean CEO pulled out his pen
적었어요.
and he wrote it down.
당신들이 만든 엔진으로 자동차 굴려갈 수 있다고 생각을 해요. 하하하.
You think the cars that you go with the engines you made will actually go?
한국에 왔습니다.
And he came to Korea
자동차 회사 직원들 전부 다
and
불렀어요.
he gathered all the employees of his car company
전부 모였습니다.
and they all assembled.
저는 볼펜 꺼내세요.
Everyone pull out your pens
종이 끄지 마.
and pull out a piece of paper
내가 부르는 거 쓰세요.
and write down what I say.
사장이 말했어요.
The CEO said,
당신들이 만든 엔진으로 자동차가 굴러갈 수 있다고 생각을 해요. 하하하하.
you think the cars that you build with the engines that you made will actually go? Ha 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 ha.
그리고 말했습니다.
That was what he
일본
said.
사장이 그렇게 말하고 오늘 모욕을 당했습니다.
He told them, the Japanese CEO said this and insulted me today.
우리가 할 수 있는가 없는가 자동차 엔진을 만들어 봅시다.
So let's make our own engines. Let's see if we could do this or not.
그래서 엔진 개발팀을 만들었어요.
So they made an engine development team
그러니까 엔진 보니까 뭐 단순한 거예요.
and
어려운 거 아니에요.
they looked at how to build an engine. It was not hard. It was simple.
피스톤 있고 실린더 있고
There's pistons and cylinders.
그거 하나도 어렵지 않은 거예요.
It's not hard at all.
그래서 한국이 독자적으로
So Korea on their own
엔진을 만들어냈어요.
built their own engine.
그래가지고 이게 진짜 잘 굴러갈 수 있는지 했어요.
And they tested it to see if it'll go well.
자동차를 만들어가지고 마지막에 기름을 씩 하고 넣었어요.
They made the car. At the end, they put the gasoline into the car.
그리고 여러분 아시겠죠? 자동차 공장에 자동차 그 시험 주행하는 코스가 있잖아요.
And as you know, at the car factory, there's the racetracks where you can test drive the cars.
그래서 이제 거기 딱 시동을 부릉거려.
And boom, they turned the car on.
기어를 넣고
They put in the gear
엑셀 밟았는데
and pressed on the gas.
차가 너무 흡사하게 빠져.
And the car drove so smoothly.
이야, 우리 막 그걸 끌어안고 막 울고 막 기뻐. 우리도 엔진을 만들었다.
Yeah, they hugged each other. They cried. We made our own engine.
그래 우리가 사실 불가능하게 보였는데
And actually, it looked impossible to us, but
처음부터 그래도 됐을 거예요.
and if they had done it to begin with, they would have been able to do it. Just have an engine in front of them,
보고
look at the
그렇게
structure,
만들면 못 만들 게 뭐가 있어요.
and just build it. Of
한국
course, they could do it.
생각이 모자랐죠.
But they were short in thought before.
그래서 이번에 한국에서 미국에 자동차를 수출하는
And recently, Korea was exporting cars to the US.
한국에서 어떤 목표를 삼았느냐 하면
And then the goal they had from Korea was,
고장 안 나는 차를 만들자.
let's make a car that does not break down.
고장 안 난 차 그 말이 돼요?
A car that doesn't break down, does that make any sense?
말이 안 됩니다.
That makes no sense.
그렇지만
But
그 고장 안 난 차를 만들려고 했어요.
they wanted to make a car that does not break down.
자동차 부품 판매 파트에 가서
So they went to the car part sales.
제일 많이 팔린 부품이 뭔지 그걸 하나 둘셋한 20가지를 딱 잡았어요.
And then they researched to see which car parts sold the most, and they had a list of the top 20 parts.
그 제일 많이 팔리는 부품은 제일 많이 고장이 났다는
The part that sells the most means that's the part that breaks down the most.
이 부품이 왜 고장이 났는지
Why does this part break down?
어떤 부분에 고장이 났는지
What part of it breaks
어떻게
down?
고장 나지 않게 할지
How do you not make it break down?
그걸 전부 연구를 해요.
And they researched all this.
그래가지고 차를 만들었는데
And then they built a car.
무슨 일이 난지 아십니까?
And do you know what happened?
옛날에는 한국 서울에
Long time ago in Seoul, Korea,
골목마다 자동차 정비 공장이 있었어요.
in every street corner, there was the car repair shop.
그렇게 하고 난 뒤에 자동차 정비 공장이 다 없어졌어요.
But after doing this, all the car repair shops
차
disappeared
고장이 안 나니까
because the cars do not break
정비 공장이
down.
있을 수가 없어요.
There could be no repair shops.
옛날에는 고속도로 휴게소마다 정비 공장이 있었는데
Long time ago, in every rest area on the highway had car repair shops.
다 없어졌어요.
Now they were all gone.
교통사고 나서 고장 난 차가 있고
There are cars that have to get repairs because of car accidents,
제대로 고장 난 차가 거의 없는 거예요.
but cars do not break down on their own anymore.
한국에서 미국에 자동차 수출하면서
And as Korea began to export their cars to the US,
다른 자동차는 뭐 3만 마일, 2만 마일 애프터 서비스 하는데
other cars, they give a warranty for 20,000 mile, 30,000 mile warranties.
현대 자동차 미국에 차를 판매하면서
But Hyundai Motors, when they sold their cars to America,
10년에 10만 마일까지 애프터 서비스를 주었어요.
they offered a 10-year, 100,000 mile warranty.
세계 사람 다 웃었어요.
Everybody in the world laughed.
이제 현대 망할 거라.
Hyundai's going to go bankrupt.
이제 자동차 고치다 다 버리다.
They're going to waste all their money fixing cars.
근데 고장이 안 나는 거예요.
But the cars do not break down.
미국에는 인건비가 비싸서 고장 나면 부속만 가는데 돈이 많이 들어요.
And in America, human labor is expensive, so if you get a new part, the labor is very expensive.
그리고 고장 안 나는 차가 너무 좋으니까
And the cars that break down, that does not break down, is so good.
한국에도 우리가 그 현대차 보면은
And even Hyundai cars in Korea,
한 사람들은 10여 년 동안 거의 고장이 안
for
나는데
about 10 years, it barely ever breaks down.
이것이 그냥 되어지는 것이 아니라
This does not just happen,
그냥 막 부딪히지 않고
without actually trying it.
차근차근히 생각을 해가면
If you think it through one by one, it's done.
특별한 은혜로 정말 예쁜 아가씨를 얻은 그 다리병신 남자.
This leg-crippled man who had received a beautiful wife through special grace.
내 아내가 나같이 다리병신에게 시집을 왔지만
My wife married a leg-crippled man like me, but
나보다 잘난 사람 만나면
if she meets somebody better than me,
날 버려 따라갈 거야.
she'll throw me away and leave me.
그 생각 막 미칠 것 같은 거야.
Thinking that drove him crazy.
자기도 모르게 막 연탄치게 아내를 때리고 막 그랬어.
Without even knowing it, he picked up the metal tongs and beat up his wife.
아내 이제 그 집에서 나왔습니다.
And then the wife left that home.
이야기를 했습니다.
She said,
내가 이 집에 와서
I came to this home.
저분의 아내가 되고 다리가 되면 행복할 줄 알았어요.
I thought if I became his wife and his legs, I would be happy.
근데 저분이 와서 내가 온 뒤로 더 고통스러워서
But after I've come here, he's fallen to even more pain.
내가 이 집을 떠나려고 합니다.
So I want to leave this home.
그래서 그 남자는 그 정말 천사 같은 고운 아가씨를 때려서 내쫓은 결과가 됐습니다.
And so the end result was that the woman had to leave that home because that man would continuously beat her.
그 여자 나중에 집에 나와서 다른 좋은 남자하고 결혼해서 정말 행복하게 산다는 이야기를 들었습니다.
And I heard that she left that home and later on she met a very nice man and lived very happily with him.
그냥 막 행동하지 말고
Do not just act out your
생각을 해봐야 하는.
Do not just act out. You must first think.
남편이 생각할 때 저 여자가 착해.
The husband thinks my wife is so nice.
나는 멋진 남자를 만나면
But if she meets some fine
나는
man,
그 남자 따라갈 거야.
she will leave me and follow
그 남자
him.
같이 식사하고
And she will go eat with
커피
him,
마시고
have coffee with
웃고,
him, and laugh.
그리고 같이 호텔 가는 그런 장소 상상하면 막 미칠 것 같아.
And go to the hotel with him, thinking about thought that drove him crazy.
자세히 보면
But if he looked
자기
closely,
안에 그럴 사람이 아니었거든요.
she would not do such a thing.
그냥 속에 일어난 그 생각 그대로 행동한 거예요.
But he just acted out whatever thought was inside of him.
우리가 인생을 살면서 사고라는 게 중요한
As we
거예요.
live life, it's important to think deeply.
조금만 사고해 보면
If we think just a little bit more
우리가
deeply,
자동차 엔진도 만들 수 있고
we can make car
강력도 할 수
engines,
있고
we can do greater
또
things.
만약에 아내가 그렇다 손 치더라도
And even if your wife is like that,
그럴수록 아내를 뺏기지 않게 아내의 관심을 사용 아내를 기쁘게 해야 하는데
he should be more caring to her to not lose her.
그런 마음과 연단치기로 아내를 때려가 유익된 게 뭐가 있어요?
And because of that, he takes the metal tongs and beats his wife. How does that help anything?
그래서 우리가 생각하는 그냥 이런 일차적인 생각으로 살지
And so
말고
do not just live with your
일차적인
first
생각을
level of thoughts.
놔두고
Leave behind your first
그
level of
다음에
thoughts
다른 생각을 해봅니다.
and then go on to think more and
이게
deeply.
사실인지.
Is this true?
내 아내는 정말 나를 사랑해.
My wife really loves
저것은
me.
다 놔두고
She
다리
left
여기
all
날
other men
찾아왔어.
and came to me, a
자기 찾아와서
cripple.
내 아내 그럴 여자가 아니야.
My wife came to me. She would not betray me.
그런 마음을 가지고 살았으면
If he had lived with that kind of a heart,
얼마나 행복했겠습니까?
how happy he would have
얼마나
been.
즐거웠겠습니까?
How joyful he would have been.
그 귀한 아내를 때려서 내쫓고
But he beat his precious wife and kicked her
사람들이
out.
잘못 생각이 모자라서
And because people's thinking are so
행복한 삶을
foolish,
살지 못하고 불행한 가운데 사는 사람이 너무 많습니다.
there are so many people who are unable to live happily and they live in misery.
바로 여러분 모두 다 좀 사고하면서 인생을 살면
And if all of you live your life with some
인생 삶 속에
thinking,
다른 여러 가지 중요하지만
even though there's many other important things in your life,
생각을 깊이 하고 사고를 해서
if you think deeply and
그래서 모든
more,
걸 결정한다면
and through that, if you decide,
훨씬 더 밝고 복된 삶을 살게 될 것입니다.
you'll be able to live a much more blessed and bright
그다음에
life.
천사 같은 아내가 와서
Even though his wife was so angelic,
아내가 돼주고
and she became his wife,
모든 걸 해주는데
and she did everything for him.
자기 생각 하나 잘못해서
Because of that one wrongful thought he had,
어떤 건 생각 하나 들어와서
because one thought entered him,
아내를 내쫓았습니다.
he kicked out his wife.
지금도 불행하게 어떻게 사는지 모르겠습니다.
I don't know, he's miserable now if he still lives that way.
앞으로 무슨 일이 있든지 간에 깊이 사고해서 일을 한다면
In the future, no matter what happens, if you go about it thinking
복되고
deeply,
영광스러운 삶이 될 줄 믿습니다.
I believe you'll live a blessed, glorious
여기까지
life.
말씀드리겠습니다.
And that'll be it.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Oksu Park. And I also take this opportunity to thank the person that has supported you through to translate your information to us in English. For the first time, I thought that it was Professor Yonam Kim, the person who gave us the first presentation, but I've been informed that Professor Yonam Kim is in Kenya, but Dr. Reverend Oksu Park is in Korea, and the interpreter was with him in Korea. Colleagues, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through whatever he has said or summarize, but what you should realize is that he packed his message in two powerful stories. One of the princess that lived happily for just 1 year, and all of a sudden things changed because of the mindset of the crippled husband. The second, I think, which was most important to us, was about Korea, the importation of parts to make cars. And what I vividly picked out was, by the way, Korea's development is basically based on research. And as we are heading towards a research-led university, I think we need to embrace the fact that our research should come from our real-life problems and experiences, as Korea did. And he ended his speech with what he left us as a take-home message. It was, leave behind your first level of thought and try to embrace in-depth thinking. That was quite powerful. Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Oksu Park. Thank you so much, the person that supported you, names to be disclosed later. but I'll now take this opportunity to invite reactions from the participants. We need to hear your comments, your views, your questions, and we are going to take track of every comment that you post. Those of you that are able to raise up your hands, please do. We shall pick you and record your question, your concern, your comment, your compliment accordingly as you deliver them. Thank you. This is now time for reactions, and the reaction session is going to take 5 minutes in the interest of time, so that we move on to the next communication that is going to come from our dear professor, the Vice Chancellor from Makerere University. Is going to come on after your comments. And as I was asking the support team in IT to let me know when the professor is logged on, their feedback was quite exciting. They said that the Vice Chancellor logged on at the beginning of the workshop. Thank you so much, Vice Chancellor, for committing your time from 8:30 to now 10:37. You've been online. It's amazing. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the organization. We are happy to have you online. And what I've heard from the IYF team is that you like Mind Education messages so much. So members, keep alert. From the comments session, we are going to receive our closing remarks from our own, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Barnabas Nawangwe. Any? Yes, Waiswa, you can give your submission, please.
May I be unmuted? Yeah, thank you. My question to the Dr. Reverend would be, did this use of the mind and thinking, critical thinking, why has it been less in Africa? Is it because of the environment we operate in, or there are any other factors that limit us to a little bit think better and be innovative and change things here in Africa? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Point noted. Question noted. Other questions or comments? I now call upon Professor Johan Kim to respond to Dr. Waiswa's question. In some
had a survey going on, and many youth and the youngsters, and they asked, what is the focus of your life? And they said, the focus of my life is to make a lot of money. And so in that kind of a way, many people are focusing on the materialistic world instead of a software part of our life. But materialistic world can also be successful when we have the proper software of our life. But there are not that many people who is speaking about this software software part of our life, many people, they are only focused on making a lot of money, becoming rich, and just hardware part of their life. But that's why many people are not thinking about this world of the heart and the world of the mindset. On the side of Professor Weiswa, it is the critical thinking. So people are not well focused on really concerning about the software part of their life. People are focused on materialistic part of their life. And that's why many people are not really focusing on development of our world of our heart and the world of our mind, and in the aspect of the critical thinking. And so that's why we are bringing this mind education also in the continent of Africa to bring an awareness. You need to continuously bring an awareness so that people can shift what they are seeing and what they are thinking, and so that people can truly see that if I change my mind, if I change my heart, if I focus on the critical thinking, then my life also can change. Yes, so that's why we need to bring a lot of awareness, especially to the youth. Nowadays, many youth and young people, they are only focusing on making a lot of money. There was this one message going around on Facebook about 2 years ago in Kenya. One youth commented and said, if I can only become rich and make a lot of money, I would even kill somebody. I would even murder to make a lot of money. I think that news became very viral and very spread it out a lot. And His Excellency, the President, he was so concerned about the mindsets of the young people. And so that's why in Kenya nowadays, we are also very much concerned and focusing on the mindset training on the youth as well. But also in Uganda, the youth, I believe that they also need this training as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Kim. Dr. Waiswa, you might wonder why your question was directed to Reverend Dr. Oksupak, but it was Professor Yona Kim that responded. In the interest of time, we wanted to shortcut the translation bit, but I'm sure you've been satisfied. There is one question that will take us to an end of the question session, but before this question, let me pick a few comments from the chat room that I think our Vice Chancellor needs to focus on or to take into consideration as he talks to us. One is from Dr. Julius Warren Nicole, who says the presentation has been great. We might have to build mindset education in our curricula. Food for thought, Vice Chancellor. And then the other one is from Claire Mugasa, who says, everyone needs to listen to this talk. Makerere leaders must listen to this message. This gives us very good positive feedback, meaning that the participants have truly enjoyed the workshop, and probably when the VC comes to give his remarks after our question from Dr. Julius Warren, probably he may enlighten us more about the future of mind education within our great institution. So Professor Yona Kim, there is one last question, and it's from Dr. Julius Warren Nikure. He asks, does frustration play a role in mindset change?
Yes, there is a reason why people are easily being frustrated. Sometimes we call that frustration stress as well. The reason why we get easily frustrated is because there is a clear reason in our heart and in our mindset why we easily fall into frustration. You probably have noticed in the same given condition, and some people, and they easily get frustrated with everything. But some people, they hardly get frustrated even with the extreme conditions and extreme situations. And there is a difference from the mindset and the world of the heart. The reason why people easily fall into frustration is because their heart, their mind is weak. The reason why their heart and their mindset is weak is because in the normal day of every day of their life, that person is usually living the life of avoiding the burdens and difficulties. Actually, this is another 1 whole hour of lecture, but if I were to just speak a little bit about it, the reason why people are easily falling into frustration is because of the weak heart. Why does people possess the weak heart? As we live our life, whether you are a millionaire, whether you are a middle class of income making person, or whether you are from the humble background, whichever situation that you are in our life, we all tend to face difficulties and stress and frustration. However, those people who has the mindset to come and collide with the difficulties and the problems, now their heart becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And then actually also this, it would be better to understand if I show the present PowerPoint presentation, but I'll just explain in words. But in that way now, when we continuously lead our mindset to collide with the difficulties and the burdens, then our heart becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. So that's why now later on, even if we fall into extreme conditions and situations, and now we are well able to overcome those frustration and extreme and conditions as well. And so in order for us to solve this problem, how can we come out of easily getting frustrated, easily getting stressed out, easily getting difficult and suffering? And now that is by colliding with our limitations and the frustrations and the difficulties. Just because it's frustrating us, if we continuously live the life of avoiding the frustration, then our hearts will become weaker and weaker and weaker. And later on, even when we face small issues and problems, our hearts will easily and just collapse and fall into deep frustration, which later it is going to lead us into having the disease of the heart. Once the people comes to the stage of the disease of the mind and the disease of the heart, now people, they also fall into mental disease and so forth. And so it would also be good if we can also have another session of a mind lecture on having the weak heart as well. Thank you very much.
Professor Kim, that was great. I'm sure the person who asked the question has been answered, and all of us have been able to learn from your response. Following etiquette, we now go to the epitome of our workshop, where we invite the host for this workshop to give his remarks. But in respect to protocol, I request our principal, Professor Josephine Ahikire, to invite the Vice Chancellor to give his closing remarks.
Wow. Thank you very much, our keynote speaker, Reverend Dr. Okso Park, as well as Professor Kim, for this very, very wonderful conversation around mindset. I think these are going to be very critical conversations as we go along as Africans, as Ugandans, in motivating young people as well as ourselves to take charge and have a positive mind, a positive mindset. I actually realized that Professor Nawangwe, the Vice Chancellor, was logged in from the beginning, so he has got the gist of the lectures as well as the conversations that came from the audience. And I would like to thank the Vice Chancellor, Professor Barnabas Nawangwe, for always looking out for opportunities for Makerere University to shine in research, in learning, in knowledge production, as well as the well-being of the university. And he's always keen to connect with the colleges to be able to take opportunities that can foster our delivery of our mandate as a university. So, Professor Nawangwe, before you are over 90 participants, there were actually over 105, but some of them had other engagements, but most of them have listened and said, indeed, this mindset conversation is very, very key for us as Makerere to mainstream it in the programs that we have at the university. The VC, Makerere University, Professor Barnabas Nawangwe, to invite you on this occasion of this lecture on mindset and mind education to close this workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Hikire. Colleagues, 5,000 years ago, civilization started here in Africa. 1,200 years ago, Africa invaded Europe and civilized Europe. For over 800 years, Africa occupied Spain. But the eventual defeat of the Moors after 800 years of occupation of Spain marked the total decline of African civilization. From that time, the other people started imposing their ideas on us and suppressing our knowledge and our culture, and completely damaged the self-confidence of the African people. But as we have seen with the other civilizations which also collapsed, we can change this situation around in a very short time, the way Korea did. We simply need a change of the mindset. And I believe it is not just for the young people. We need a change of the mindset even among ourselves, and especially our bureaucrats in the government, whose performance will determine very much whether our country and our continent recovers and moves on. Can we as Makerere, the top Black university on earth, take the lead in this? Can we be inspired by the Korean success? I believe we can. The last few weeks, I have seen things changing at Makerere. I have seen the energy among our staff, the research and innovations coming out of practically every college. And I see the huge potential that we have here to change the situation of our people. I definitely want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you who joined this workshop in big numbers. Actually, the number went up to 112. That's the highest I counted. And almost everybody stayed up to the end. I want to thank Grace and Josephine for organizing this, and also to thank Professor Kim and Dr. Park for their very inspiring talks. I also thank Pastor Kim, who is stationed here in Uganda and who actually has an office in the same building where the main administration now is housed in CTF1. I think what we all learn from this is we cannot continue leaving our fate to chance. We have our fate in our hands. We can change this fate for our people. I know that there will be another lecture by Dr. Park because it was supposed to be 2 sessions, and we agreed that that might be a little bit too long, and we agreed that we break it into 2. So the organizers will be informing you when the next lecture will be. And I would like to hope that all of you come back and that you invite even more of our members of staff to benefit from these very inspiring talks. The intention is to explore how incorporate mindset education in our curriculum. And I know that Grace and her colleagues, together with the IYF office here in Kampala, is working on this. And I hope that we can be able to come up with a program earlier than later, because as we all know, we are having our population explosion, our resources are not expanding. We need a change of the mindset if we are going to manage this situation. Thank you once again, all of you, for being here. And thank you, the presenters. Thank you, Dr. Park, for your inspiring talk. Grace, I hand over back to you.
Thank you so much. Those are the closing remarks from our Vice Chancellor members. And what he said probably that most of you did not know is that Africa civilized Europe, and that we can change our situation the way Korea did. And I think we can. He said for us to be able to do this, we need a change of mindset. He said we cannot leave our destiny to chance. We must do something. And he also entered on the intention to explore means to incorporate mind education in our curriculum. And the feedback from this workshop and the second workshop, and also consultations that we are going to make with each one of you, will probably enable us realize how to make this happen. I take this opportunity to thank all of you that have participated in this online workshop. Thank you so much. I thank the support team from IYF, the support team from the VC's Public Relations Office, the support team from the Principal's Public Relations Office, the support team in Korea, and the members from the School of Psychology for organizing this workshop. We gladly appreciate it has been a success because of your participation. Thank you. Thank you. The VC has given the closing remarks. I shouldn't tell you that the workshop has closed because this has been officially done. I wish you all a nice day. And once again, thank you for participating. Bye-bye.